One patient walked into a hospital with an iron problem and left with a diagnosis that challenges how doctors think about autoimmune overlap. Today we examine 4 science stories that all share a common thread: the hidden patterns beneath everyday symptoms, social class, habitat recovery, and news consumption. We start with a medical case involving 4 autoimmune diseases in a single person, then unpack why lower-class employees face a negotiation double bind, then explore why restored forests and wetlands may still be missing their smallest species, and finally connect the emotional weight of political media to Monday morning work behavior. The first story comes from a case report in Frontiers in Immunology. A 40-year-old woman in China was already living with 3 confirmed autoimmune conditions: ulcerative colitis, which inflames the large intestine; autoimmune hepatitis, in which the immune system attacks the liver; and primary sclerosing cholangitis, which scars and narrows the bile ducts that carry digestive fluid from the liver. In broad terms, autoimmune disease happens when the immune system mistakes the body's own cells for a threat. This patient's immune system had already targeted her gut, liver, and bile ducts. Then, a 4th target appeared. Her doctors were investigating severe iron deficiency. Blood tests showed hemoglobin at 89 grams per liter. Normally, that would prompt a search for hidden bleeding, but repeated stool tests found no blood, and a gynecological examination found no obvious source of blood loss. That left another explanation: her body might not be absorbing iron properly. When they examined her stomach, they found that part of the inner lining had become severely thinned, with immune cells inflaming the tissue. Many acid-producing parietal cells were damaged or missing, and she had antibodies against those cells. That confirmed autoimmune gastritis, a 4th autoimmune disease. The connection to iron matters because stomach acid does more than digest food. It helps prepare dietary iron for absorption in the small intestine. When autoimmune gastritis destroys acid-producing cells, iron can become harder to absorb even when a person's diet contains enough. Over time, the same condition can interfere with vitamin B12 absorption, which is needed for healthy blood and nerve cells. In this woman, B12 was still normal, which fits evidence that iron deficiency can be an earlier warning sign. The doctors prescribed iron supplements and planned to monitor her B12 and folate. They also scheduled another stomach examination with biopsies in 1 to 2 years, because autoimmune gastritis can raise the long-term risk of certain stomach tumors. There is a broader diagnostic lesson. The collection of illnesses resembled a rare syndrome called autoimmune polyglandular syndrome type 3B, or a PS-3B, in which autoimmune thyroid disease occurs with autoimmune conditions of the digestive system. The patient did have hypothyroidism, but her thyroid had been surgically removed because of thyroid cancer, so doctors could not prove an autoimmune attack on the gland. That means the case resembles a PS-3B, but does not confirm it. This is an honest limitation, not a failure. It shows how a single patient can open a question that larger studies would need to answer. How often should multiple autoimmune diseases trigger broader testing? We cannot know whether one disease caused another, or how common this combination is. The second study turns from the body to the workplace. A paper in PNAS examined whether people from lower social class backgrounds face a negotiation double bind. Across 5 studies, the researchers found that lower class employees were less likely to initiate salary and benefit negotiations, partly because they felt a reduced sense of power and a stronger fear of social backlash. That hesitation is not simply a personal trait. In one nationally representative Australian survey, higher-class individuals had 1.15 times higher odds of negotiating their starting pay. In an MBA sample, not negotiating was associated with an average starting salary about $6,450 lower. In a controlled online task, higher-class participants were 1.65 times more likely to request a larger bonus. The critical finding is that the fear of backlash is grounded in reality. Researchers asked more than 1,100 human resources professionals to evaluate a fictional male job candidate whose background cues signaled either lower class or higher class origins. When the candidate negotiated, HR professionals rated him as less cooperative overall. That penalty was much larger for the lower class candidate than for the higher class candidate, and the perception of being uncooperative was associated with a lower likelihood of wanting to hire him. In other words, the same negotiating behavior can produce harsher professional punishment depending on perceived social class. This creates a double bind. Staying silent can preserve relationships but reduce lifetime earnings, while speaking up can bring material gains but social cost. The study authors are careful about what this does and does not mean. It does not mean lower-class workers should simply avoid negotiating because not negotiating carries its own financial penalty. One practical nuance from the research is that communal framing may help. Describing a request in terms of shared goals and teamwork, using language like we rather than I, may soften the perception of demandingness. But the authors also argue that individual strategies cannot solve the problem alone. Organizations may need to reduce how much career outcomes depend on asking, make negotiation opportunities explicit and transparent, audit outcomes, and start including social class and equity analyses. Otherwise, the class ceiling can quietly reproduce itself even among people with similar education and credentials. That question of who returns and who remains missing also applies to ecosystems. New research highlighted by CBC News shows that a regrown forest can look tall and green while some of its smallest inhabitants, mosses, lichens, liverworts, and algae, remain absent for decades. University of Alberta botanist Ellen MacDonald combined her own data with research from around the world to examine how boreal forests recover after clear-cutting. The pattern depended on forest type. Birch and aspen forests and their inhabitants appeared to recover within about 25 years. Conifer forests were far slower. Understory plants, especially lichens, mosses, and liverworts, took 85 years or more to return, and in some cases had not recovered within a century of available data. The same silent loss appears in wetlands. German botanist Michael Melkonian described restored bogs near his home that looked healthy above the surface, with carnivorous plants, sphagnum moss, frogs, and dragonflies. But below the water he expected hundreds of desmid algae species. Instead, he found only a handful. This is not always extinction in the global sense. It is local disappearance, what University of Alberta scientist Victoria Wagner calls dark diversity. Species vanish from many sites even if they survive somewhere else. The consequences can be significant even when the organisms are tiny. Melkonian notes that algae are thought to be responsible for roughly half of global photosynthesis, and missing species can slow the recovery of other parts of the ecosystem. In boreal forests, shade-dependent mosses and lichens depend on old trees, so you cannot simply wait for green canopy to return. MacDonald suggests selective or partial harvesting in conifer forests rather than clear cutting. The final study brings these threads back to human daily behavior. During the 2024 U.S. presidential primary season, researchers followed 308 full-time workers over 9 weeks. Each weekend, participants reported how much positive or negative political information they had consumed during non-work hours, and how they felt. The results published in Computers and Human Behavior showed that during weeks when employees consumed more negative political media than their personal average, they reported higher anxiety. That anxiety predicted lower work engagement and a greater likelihood of self-censoring at work. During weeks when they consumed more positive political content, they reported higher hope, which predicted greater engagement and more willingness to help coworkers. The authors emphasize that this is correlational, not proof of cause and effect. It is possible that anxious people seek out negative news rather than the news creating the anxiety. The data also rely on self-report, and the participants were mostly white and about 60% male, so the sample has limits. But the week-to-week pattern suggests that the boundary between private media habits and professional life is permeable. Hughes, the lead researcher, noted that positive political information was actually a more robust predictor of emotions and work outcomes in this model, despite the well-known negativity bias. That does not mean people should build an ideological echo chamber. Being informed includes exposure to perspectives you disagree with. The practical point is awareness. What you consume on Sunday may shape your emotional resources on Monday. Across these 4 stories, the recurring theme is invisible loss and hidden barriers. A 4th autoimmune disease revealed by iron, a social class penalty triggered by asking, absent algae beneath a green wetland, and political media quietly shaping workplace energy. Each finding is early or limited in its own way. A single case report cannot tell us how common autoimmune clustering is. Negotiation studies can show patterns but cannot capture every workplace culture. Restoration research works over decades and needs data from many regions. Political media research shows associations, not a controlled law of mind. What unites them is a shared caution. Visible recovery, visible success, and visible health are not the whole picture. For viewers thinking about this, here is a question. In your own life or community, what healthy-looking surface might be hiding a slower, quieter loss? Please subscribe for more daily science content.